So let's talk about our center first, because that's what we are going to be starting with. So right here I have yardage, and it's just 1 yard of fabric cut off the bolt. And if you had a panel, this would be your panel laid out. You'll square up your center to whatever you want. There's no measurement here. Pick where you want it to be and square it up. And then if you're going to add your inner border, like you can see I have here, then you will cut your strips for that. And you will need 4 to 5 strips depending on the size of this center. So if you are going to be, say, 24 to 27, you might only need 4 strips. If you're going to do the 1 yard like I did, then you will need 5 strips. And so, like I said, square up that center, add your inner border if you're going to add it, and then make sure everything is nice and square when you have done that. Then you're going to cut random size pieces from your coordinating fabrics. So here I have my coordinating fabrics cut, and I do have my strip set sewn. But what you're going to do from all your coordinating fabrics, you will cut random size strips. And usually what I do, as you can see here, I have the same ones, but they're cut in different widths. And I cut my strips in half because I don't like working with width of fabric strips necessarily. So I usually cut them in half and then sew them together so that they are smaller strip sets. They're a little easier to work with and gives you a little bit more room to play, I guess you would say. And they tend to be straighter too, and they don't smile at you. So once you get all them cut and sewn together, press all your seams. It does not matter what way you press your seams, just press them so that they're laying nice and flat. As you can see, I have some dark thread in here. I did that so people could see my stitch lines. And of course, always use your 1/4 inch. Now I have all my strip sets sewn, and so I'm going to square up one of my edges. And I always line up on one of my stitch lines and use that for keeping everything straight. So I'm all lined up, and then I am going to cut this off, and now I am squared up on this edge. Now it's time to make the decision on how wide you want that outer border to be. Or if you're going to be adding multiple borders, this will be your next border. That is going to go up either right around your panel or by your inner border. So for this particular one, I decided on 7 inches because I have a bigger center, so I want a little bit bigger outer border. Normally, I just use the width of my ruler, whatever one I am using. This one is 6 inches, and that's what the Coffee and the Serenity one have. They have 6-inch borders done. So I line up my ruler on the 7 inches right here, and then I lay this ruler here, pull this one away, and I'm going to cut. And I'll keep cutting until I have as many as I can get out of each strip set. Then, once you get those all cut, you're going to sew all of your strips together to make one long strip set. And I usually alternate between my 2 different strip sets so that way I get different sizes as I'm going down the strip. And that's the whole point here. Random does not have to have any rhyme or reason. And I always have to remind ladies, this is supposed to be fun. And this particular project is a nice one that gives you kind of a mindless refresher in between those projects where you have to do a lot of thinking and concentrating. So this is a fun one I like to do if I want something done fast or if I don't want to necessarily think, but I want to sew. This is my favorite part of making this quilt. Normally I have my long border strip out here hanging out over this edge quite a bit. But for this demo, I'm gonna have it a little bit less. So we're gonna pull this away. So you're going to start any side of your quilt. I normally start at the top because we are going to be putting our borders on round robin. And what that means is we're gonna start on, at one point, mine will be the top of my quilt, and we're going to start pinning on the top left, aligning those edges on that first side, and then pinning and coming down and leaving a little bit here at the end. And my strip is bigger than my quilt top, and I'm going to put my ruler down, and I am going to line up along the side and line right along the very top of my quilt. And then I am going to take my cutter. I'm not going to cut this off for demo purposes, but I would cut this off and move my strip away. And then this would be lined up perfectly with my edge, and then I would finish pinning my pieces. Then I will stitch all along that side and press that back. I am done adding my first border, as you can see right here. And I always, every time I add a border, before I add the next one, I make sure that I am staying square. So I lay my ruler down, lining up on the edge and lining up there, and sliver trimming any little piece that I need to cut off. I did have to do just a little bit of a sliver on this one. It was less than an eighth of an inch. Some people say that doesn't matter, but for me, I like to square everything and try to make sure it stays square through the whole process. So once that is all squared up, we're ready to add our next border, just like we did our first. So we're gonna start here, lining up this edge and along the side, and we will pin. So we would line up our edges and start pinning along this side, repeating the same process we did at the end of this strip. And by putting our ruler on, lining up our sides again, and then trimming off the extra. And then we'll finish pinning. And then you would do re-square up after you were done with that. And then, so your third border, which would be along the bottom, and then the fourth border, which would be along the side. So to repeat the order again for round robin, if you're starting at the top like I do. So your top would be the first one that you do, and then your right side would be your second, bottom would be your third side, and your left side would be your fourth side. And this way, it's nice because you don't have to worry about cornerstones or anything like that. It's nice and easy, keeps everything random and scrappy, which normally I struggle with, but this I have a much easier time dealing with. So I will finish my quilt top and then I will be back in a few minutes. As you can see, our quilt top is all done. It measures in at 53 by 61, which is a good size throw. The other two can be considered either wall or baby quilts or even lap quilts. And all of these are available as kits in the shop. And the one that I just made is from the line called Silent Sports, which is also the full line available here in the shop, as well as the coffee. We have the full line too. You can check us out at quiltpeddlerllc.com, or you can stop in and see us at any time in the shop. We look forward to seeing you soon.